Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. Today we're talking about England-South Africa second test match bounce back ability, Ollie Robinson 2.0, the coming of the gym rat Ben Stokes leading from the front, and how Rich shouldered and arms the ball on Saturday. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Rob. This is Rich. Rich, what a way to finish off your season, mate.
Mate, honestly, the end of my season batting is like the start of an international dialing code. 0-0. So we'll see what happens the rest of it. But yeah, it wasn't good, mate. It slammed into off stump, but hey, we're all good. The kit's over there. It's going to get a good wash. Probably some of it's going to get burnt, and then we'll be ready to go for next year again. But the summer's coming to an end, Rob. What's going on?
Summer's starting to come to a head here. We've gone into spring, and there's shorts and t-shirt action on the weekend down in New Zealand. So getting ready for the good life, mate.
See, this is even crueler, isn't it? As our summer starts coming to an end, yours starts. It's not on. It's not on. Fine. Anyway, but fun cricket. England are back. Oh, whoa.
Yep, England are back. Yeah, the great song. England are back, and I'm really glad you said fun cricket and didn't go, have you seen the 100 this week? Have you seen... Oh, I'm going to beat you on the 100. Have you seen the 60?
Oh, no. We've got another one.
Yeah, the 60. It's in the Caribbean. It's a spin-off of the Caribbean Premier League. It's like when Friends did the series and then they had a Joey spin-off and it didn't quite work. There's no one in the stands watching this new 60-ball format in the West Indies, mate. It's quite painful to watch.
Yeah, okay, that's come as a bit of a shock to me. I'm still processing the 100. The 100, I'm going to go out and live. I've started watching a few games on TV when it's on, and the cricket's been okay. It still has its issues, but the cricket's been okay. 60, no, that's just weird. Sorry, lads.
It's not cool, mate. No atmosphere. Whereas the 100, I watch the highlights of the game on TV down here, and I've really enjoyed it for what it is. 20-minute highlight program.
Yeah.
The cricket, good atmosphere going on. 60, no one in the stands, nothing going on.
No. Shows you what subsidised tickets will do for you, Rob.
Exactly. Free tickets. All tickets must go. Talking about things that are hot and popping it like it's hot. England, Rich, 4 wins, beat New Zealand 3 times, incredible run chases, beat India. And then they have this, come into South Africa moment where South Africa turn up, legit team, like the previous 2 that's gone before them, but England do it a little bit different and they bat first and it didn't quite work out. Questions are being raised. Bazball, it's a fad. It's gone. It's in the past. And then Ben Stokes, leadership 101, completely leads from the front with bat and with ball and with a cool-looking haircut and even a really pumped-up celebration where I saw him jump in the air a bit like Sam Curran.
Ooh.
Like, he was feeling it, Rich.
It was a hell of a turnaround, wasn't it? All the issues we spoke about last week, gone. Just gone. England are perfect. No problems at all. Isn't it funny, though, that we've had this turnaround? England just seemed to be lost last week when they were having to set the tempo for the game. This one, they were batting second. Obviously, that means they would have been batting fourth in their favourite chase position. But it just seemed a different side. They just got into the business early, didn't they? And just never stopped. They got the foot on the gas and just went. Only changed Ollie Robinson in for Matty Potts. So therefore, the reason we lost against South Africa, Matty Potts. Sorry, mate. It was your fault. I mean, it is crazy though, isn't it? I just heard him talking about it on the coverage. A batsman can have shocking form for an extended period of time, Zach Crawley, but he keeps his place. But a bowler has one off game after a superb summer so far in his first taste of international cricket, and he gets stepped to one side for, as you mentioned, the born again, the 2.0, the gym rat, Ollie Robinson. Ollie Robinson is talking about how he's just realised at the age of 28 he's got to keep fit. He's a professional cricketer. Good on you. Well done, Ollie. Brilliant. I'm so proud of you, mate, that in the last 6 months you've realised you have to be fitter to play international cricket and not just beat the fitness test. Come on, man.
It's like being a doctor and just going, pass me exams, I'm all good. There's no continuous learning in your career path of being a doctor. Like being a cricketer, you've got all the talent, but to get to the top and stay there, you gotta work hard, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And he bowled superbly well in this test match, Ollie Robinson. And he had the way he came into international cricket, he was unreal. But it just kills me that he was even given an opportunity in the first place if this was his mentality. We've seen players over the year not able to play cricket for England because of fitness issues. We're talking about people like Samit Patel that is still playing first-class cricket or whatever you want to call it, let's say cricket, at the age of 40-odd. but he wasn't deemed fit enough. And then you've got a guy who's 27, 28 who can't get through a test match, but he was given a go. It seems bizarre that the penny's just dropped, but I'm so pleased the penny has just dropped because he's such a talented bowler, and he suddenly gives us a different dimension, height, all the rest of it. Really, really pleased for him. So we are joking a little bit about it, but my God, I mean, why is it taking him this long?
He must have passed. You know, Baz McCullum, his saying is, "We've got a no dickheads policy," which is very much that's the policy. That is the actual name of the policy.
Sorry, the laptop was nearly splattered with coffee then.
Yeah, in New Zealand with the All Blacks, that is their policy. Respect the jersey. Leave it in a better place when you go, and no dickheads policy. So Ollie Robinson must have passed the no dickheads policy and have impressed to be able to come in. So obviously on a real high turn and putting in a high quality performance.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's my just a little moment about Ollie Robinson out the way. But yeah, England they got into the business early, didn't they? Got South Africa down, got him behind. Sarel Owi. Sounds like I'm asking a question. He was gone early, wasn't he? So that's what you needed, really, England to respond. We needed that inroad as quickly as possible to start getting into this. I said last week, and I say again this week, this vulnerable South African batting card. The big change for them, Simon Harmer, the second spinner, came in place of the very, very impressive, the 6'8", the tall man, the left armer, Marco Jansen, who batted well. He got himself 40 odd as well, didn't he?
Did.
Harmer came in, and Harmer with the bat really didn't do anything. With the ball, he didn't really do anything. 1 for 73 off 23.
No.
It's a shame, really, because I was looking forward to seeing Harmer, but it just didn't feel like the right selection necessarily. Fair enough what they were thinking, but that batting card is still vulnerable. Harmer coming in at 7. Big question marks over Markham, wasn't there? Peterson and Van der Dewson haven't played many games. Varane, the wicketkeeper batsman, he hasn't played many games. It was a vulnerable card, and England took full advantage of it and did what they should have done in the first test.
They did. You're absolutely right. Owie, 6 test matches. Keegan Peterson, 9 test matches. Van der Dewson, experienced at 17. He's only scored 900 runs, Rich. 650s, no centuries. Varane, 10 test matches. Aidan Markram, for his experience, 33 test matches and averages 34. So huge inexperience. Potential lack of consistent quality in there. They've won hard test matches. They won a really good series against India, but there are going to be these frailties, particularly against England in English conditions with these new batch of balls, which are swinging around a little bit more and consistently swing around. There's heaps of reverse swing in this test as well. And I just thought England executed really well. They took opportunities that came to them really, really well. And when do we look good as a test match bowling unit? It's when we've got consistency of line and length from Jimmy, and he was exceptional. And particularly, I thought his line was exceptional. Sometimes it feels when he's not really endangering the outside edge, he's maybe a little bit too wide of off stump. This is me, 0 test match wickets, talking about Jimmy Anderson, soon to be 700 test match wickets. But sometimes it's not quite into the stumps, and he's way more experienced. And he talks about it in Australia. He's like, sometimes you just can't bowl those deliveries that you're searching for a wicket because you just know you know that they're going to be able to hit that because it's not doing as much. The ball was doing enough here, and I thought they were brilliant. I thought Robinson was brilliant. I thought Stuart Broad. And we spoke about it last podcast, going, is Broady getting near the end? This was Broad that you want to see. This was Broad dangerous from around the wickets to the left-hander, and this was Broad taking big wickets. Dean Elgar, big wicket. Keegan Peterson, big wicket. Varane got a century down here in New Zealand. I mentioned it every podcast, but a wicket there, and then in the second innings he went and got Markram. So the quality of wickets that he took, 4 wickets he got in the game, they were all top 6 players and all different top 6 players. So absolutely outstanding, really.
Yeah, I can't disagree at all. I thought the bowling unit as a whole bowled really well. Stokes came into his work, didn't he? 2 for 17 or 7 for him, taking out a couple of key middle order wickets in Markram and Van der Dewson. Jimmy Anderson 3 for 32, Broady 3 for 37, and Ollie Robinson 1 for 48 or 14. Doesn't look like a headline, but he bowled fantastically well early on. Took the new ball with Jimmy Anderson, and he bowled really well. He was beating the bat consistently, wasn't he, Ollie Robinson? And I'd probably hazard that sort of half of those, well, not half, but a chunk of that 48 were a few thick edges and batters being very, very fortunate. Jimmy Anderson, just a quick word on him, the first ever cricketer to play 100 tests on home soil. So I don't know what he's up to now. Is he about 160 odd tests? So it feels like something around that number now. I'm sure we can check it in a moment. But 100 tests at home for England. Absolutely ridiculous at the age of 40. Yeah, 174 appearances now for Jimmy. And he's going strong, isn't he? He doesn't look like... He looks fit.
He does look fit.
It's just superb, just absolutely superb what we're seeing from him. And he keeps on going, doesn't he? But yeah, I'm really pleased Broady did well to help that card. And really, I mean, I've got to just hat tip a little bit Kagisa Rabada. Can we start calling him an all-rounder? If it wasn't for his 36 at the end, that would have been a much worse first innings score. It got to 151 in the end for South Africa, but it would have been a much worse score if it wasn't for his hanging around and having a bit of a cheeky swing towards the end. England, Rob, in response, 415 for 9 declared. That's the headline figure. That's the fantastic score. That's, as we haven't covered the actual thing, we won by an innings and 85 runs. So we only had to bat the once in this game, Rob. We've still got question marks at the top of the order in the top three. Joe Root didn't perform again. He's having, this is probably, panic stations. Joe Root's not got a few runs in 2 games. We did fantastic little stat with cricket _ Ali Martin, Guardian reporter. First Test victory without a 50+ score from Joe Root in 2 years for England. In those eight wins, 228s, 186, 218, 121, 115 not out, 175, 86 not out, and 142 not out. The takeaway, when we win a game, it's half the reason is because Joe Root has got a big old score on the board. So first game we've won without Joe Root getting a 50+ score in the game, so that's fantastic. But that top three, still question marks.
I'm starting on Alex Lees, right? I'm saving Zach Crawley. Alex Lees, has he done enough to go, I see a future as a Test match batter? And now he's 9 Test matches down into his career, 17 innings, 401 runs, 250s, an average of 23.58. Now, out of everyone that's played 9 Test matches as an opener for England, he's got the 6th worst average. Haseeb Hameed is below him, which is quite interesting. And Zach Crawley is below him, and then some other people that I've not really heard of from when Jesus was a lad. So the question marks, he averages less than Jennings, less than Hales, less than Stoneman, less than Butcher, less than Burns. I can't see he was making a change, but are you seeing any improvements in his game?
No, I think he's going the other way. I mean, it's a really difficult one. He only lasted 7 balls. He's up against a very good attack. Rabada and Ngidi with a new ball. They're not going to give you much. You're not going to give you many freebies, are they? Then you've got Nokia coming in after that, trying to knock your head off. It's not an easy attack to bat against. So let's just get that clear. That's the underscore to all this conversation. But at some point, we need to see a little bit more from Alex Lees. The pressure has been on Crawley, but Crawley dug in this game. 38 of 101. We keep seeing this knock every so often from Zach Crawley, where he seems to knuckle down. He's a little bit more watchful. He's a bit more choosy of what shots he's going to go. He's put the booming drive away a little bit. Did get caught behind off Nokia, but it was a good delivery. So Crawley, really, in this game, we can't throw too much criticism at him, but we can't get too carried away as well. He got 38. It's not like he's just nailed on his spot for the foreseeable future. But, obviously he's going to still be around in the next game. And I would imagine Alex Lees will be as well. Yeah. The problem will come after this 3rd test. We're then over into winter cricket, and you're going to be taking, are we taking these 2 openers to start wherever we go abroad? It's a big ask for whoever is going to get that job if you decide to make a change after the 3rd test. Now would be the better time, I would say, to give someone a go, but I don't think they will. But Lees, the best I've seen him play, I think Trent Bridge Test match, he was positive. I think the first 3 balls of the innings, when we the start of that chase, the incredible chase where Bairstow went ballistic, 3-4s in 4 deliveries, was it? To start the innings. We need to see a more positive Alex Lees, perhaps. Not a reckless one, more of how Ben Stokes played in this innings, didn't he? 103 off 163 deliveries. He seemed a lot more... I don't want to say cautious because that's ridiculous because he still batted at a good lick and he was still quite aggressive at times, but he was a little bit more sensible, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think his approach was better. He played the match situation better. Like, okay, I need to get through to the end of the day because that's really important for my team. So I'm going to knuckle down, I'm going to leave well, defend well, and just lock up my drive for a little bit. And then the next day he can come back in and he's got a chance to build. He didn't build that long, but he batted a decent period of time, 157 minutes. Like, when was the last time that he went and batted for 157 minutes? You've got to go back to the West Indies when he scored that 100. And when he scored those runs in Australia, he didn't even bat 157 minutes when he scored that 77. So the last time he batted 157 minutes before then was his double 100. And he's played almost 20 test matches in between that period. So I saw improvement. Lee's, I agree, is going backwards. I think he's trying to weigh up the balance. Like, in the first test, he got out playing some horrendous drive, and Rabada was all over him. Like, literally, cheap suit all over him. Didn't know what to do about it. I don't think he's quite got the balance of how he plays Test cricket yet. Yeah, it's great when he's scoring boundaries, but he can't hit every ball for boundary when you've got Rabada with a 45 or 40 strike rate bowling at you. He's going to get you out every 6 overs, mate, and there's not a lot you can go and do about it. And I still think time is up for Crawley, but every time there's little glimmer of hope. Like, if he has a good third test, then he's in for the winter. What you really want to see is I want to see these guys succeed, and I want to see them go and score 100. Both players go and score 100, they're in for the winter. If neither of them do, then I seriously think we need to think about who's the right people to be in this team going forward for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that sort of nonsensical comment that McCullum came out with, talking about how he is going to be inconsistent. It's as you know, Nasser Hussain was talking about in the build-up to this test. What does that say to Zach Crawley? Zach Crawley might rock up one on the day. Oh, I'm not quite feeling it today, but I am a bit of an inconsistent player, aren't I? So, you know, it's not the end of the world if I don't get a score in this innings. No, actually, every single innings counts. We can't let anyone off the hook. If that's how you think you're going to get through to a player, well, then we have to question that player, you know, his mentality, if that's what you think he needs. Now, I'm not saying that is the case, but I still don't really understand where McCullum was coming from. I understand he's trying to defend his players, but this is not a closed squad. It's not like a transfer window's closed. You can pick anybody that's English qualified, Brendan. It's really that easy. So there are plenty of people out there that can do this job and will be desperate to do these jobs instead of Lees, instead of Crawley, if they're given the opportunity. Exactly. Will they do any better? We don't know. Over the last few years, Lord knows. Sibley did okay. Burns is probably the most successful opener over that period. But as we spoke about last week, we like Burns. And I know we've got people that listen and follow us that really like Burns as well. And when you look around, he was the best that we probably had. And he's still a shout there. But like Rob said, we looked at his technique. One of the reasons he didn't succeed, and when I say succeed, didn't, you know, get up to those average and those 40 numbers and be a better player, is because technically he wasn't quite right at this level. And he kept getting out in similar ways. You can speak on this more than I can, Rob, because you looked into it in more depth. But he's not gone away and changed anything.
Yeah.
He might, well, you know, we need another analysis, Rob. Come on, get the analysis video going again. See if anything's changed since the last time nothing had changed. But, you know, we need to see a change for somebody like him to bring him back in. And he's still a shout, isn't he? I think he still potentially is one of the next options if they do decide to make this change.
Yeah, exactly. They might like him. They might like Keaton Jennings, who's had a really good campaign, who's a really good player of spin with the winter tours that we've got coming up. Hasib Hamid, maybe someone that's gets his name thrown around, and Ben Compton obviously through sheer weight of runs. So it'll be interesting, but test matches are a great leveler and it finds you out. Like Sam Robson came in, scored early centuries, got found out around off stump. James Vince, beautiful Culver drive, got found out around off stump. Alex Hales scored 2, 3, 80 plus scores against a very average Sri Lanka team at one point, got found out around off stump, and they all just come and go normally around off stump. Yeah,
it does seem that way, doesn't it? Yeah, Jennings has got a little bit more positive. He's been a decent list A player for quite some time now, but he's quite a positive player now as well. So maybe that just adds another little you know, sparkle in Brendan McCullum's eye as he's looking at the likes of Jennings. Compton, it's unfortunate because we're not seeing or hearing much of Compton at the moment, are we? Because obviously there is no red ball cricket going on at the moment. We're nearly out of August, so that means we will be seeing some red ball cricket back again soon, which is lovely and exciting for us.
I like the way you checked the month on your watch just there, like it came up and said August straight on there. It's like Siri was ready.
I have the fantastic "This and Cockroaches Will Still Be Alive and Running" at the end of the world, the old Casio. These things never die, mate.
They don't. Still on the same original battery from 1993.
I've got the month. I know what month it is by looking at my watch. Ollie Pope, Rob.
What did you make of Ollie Pope's innings at the top, mate? because he came
fluid,
in,
wasn't it?
He came in a similar position to Crawley, where probably need to bat through the day, put a bit of pressure on maybe. And I felt like he was quite frenetic in his approach. And I like his positivity, but it felt a little misplaced towards the end.
Yeah, he needs to get that out of his game. When he first comes into bat, he is very frantic, very frenetic. He just needs to settle down a little bit, doesn't he? I mean, as a bowler coming in, when you see Ollie Pope, especially at number 3, you're thinking, right, bang, bang, we've got one, we're going to get 2 pretty sharpish here. 23 of 27, fluent, we like it. Headline figures 85, strike rate looks good, 4 boundaries. I must have batted well. He batted okay, didn't he? And I think he, like we said before, he's going to be one of them players that keeps getting just enough to keep himself in. Ultra talented county cricketer. I'm just not convinced yet. But again, it comes back to that conversation. Who can come back at 3 instead? Is a Harry Brook. We had that big conversation about Harry Brook last week. Can Harry Brook bat at 3? Possibly. I don't know. Don't know what the England selectors are thinking, should I say. But Pope, he's there. You're expecting him to get out, aren't you? While he's there, you know he's going to score runs. He's going to score runs at a good pace. He's going to be busy. He batted really well in the first test. Only player that did bat particularly well for England in the first test. But in this one, he's off balance a little bit, isn't he? A little bit of an inside edge. He gets cleaned up against the quick bowler. It's not quite there yet, and I don't know when it will be. I think he will be a player that will be a very good England international at some point in his career, but he's not quite there yet.
No, he's not. But I think what we've got is we've changed the mentality around this England team. We've gone from being a woeful specimen of a team, like almost unwatchable, to winning 4 of 5 test matches against New Zealand, World Test champions, India, best team cross format in the world pretty much, and South Africa, who's just beat India. Like that's some good stuff going on in this team. And it's with pretty much the same bunch of players that was doing it. They just got a bit more belief and gumption about themselves to go and operate. And I think a lot of that comes down to the man I'm going to talk about next, and that's Ben Stokes. Like, did you see much of Stokes' innings? Because to me, this felt like, he was trying to stamp his authority on the game as captain and was running down the wicket. Recklessly running down the wicket. You can run down the wicket and play nice shots and hit the ball to certain areas and do some good things. But it was a little bit reckless. This had more control to it. And this is the Ben Stokes that you want to see, because he hits the ball so cleanly, so nicely, playing great cricket shots. He doesn't have to come down the pitch to change the bowler's length or to try and implement his way onto the game. He's good enough to do that just naturally playing his way. And when he's in, then he can expand on these things. And I felt like this was a mature captain's performance from the right person to be leading the team.
Absolutely, yeah. We're starting to get into the business now, aren't we, of the Ben Stokes, Brendan McCullum era. And what are we, 3, 4, 5, 6 tests in, aren't we? With Ben Stokes. And what we saw at the start, and what we spoke about, I think a lot of people were speaking about, was that Stokes seems to be going past what he's asking people to do. He's the one that's doing it to the extreme. He's the one dancing down the track. First ball, what was it? Night watchman out stumped second ball for 6. That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So he felt in this game that he just took that backward step back to more where you'd expect him to play, or how you'd expect him to play. I think this squad, this team, it's all together, isn't it? We're not seeing many changes. They're understanding now what we want of them as the not necessarily the fans or the podcasters, but the management, the coaches, what they want from them. So Ben Stokes doesn't have to go completely reckless now. We're just trying to show positive, keep going, keep attacking. He played a much more sensible innings. He's still a good rate, 103, 163, 3 6s, 6 4s. But he picked his times, didn't he? He went at certain times. There were certain moments in the game, maybe certain bowlers. That was when he was much more attacking than he was. But at other times, he was just very, very steady, ultra quality, top quality Ben Stokes batting. And it was a top innings from Stokes. And it was just a top test match from him as well, wasn't it? He had really good influence at the right times. He captained well. And also that partnership, the Stokes-Foakes partnership, 173 the two put on. It's superb. It was great to see them both there. Foakes was under so much pressure, I think. We might not have spoke about it, in the media too much, but last week we were saying, when you're starting to think about how you get a high-performing informed player like Harry Brook into the team, you start looking at, well, where can you get him in? And then Foakes becomes the focal point.
Yeah.
Because Bairstow or Pope, probably not Pope, but Bairstow can take the gloves. So this 113 not out off 217 balls, 299 minutes, Rob. Superb innings from Foakes to go alongside his fantastic keeping. As we all know, he's such a, he's one of the best in the world, isn't he? It was just a relief for him, a relief for everybody, because we're huge fans of Foakes. So it's great to see that he really has put that knock in at the right time to stop people like us talking about how maybe he'll be the one that loses his spot.
If I look at what makes a really good Test team, it's normally having a really high quality number 7 wicketkeeper batsman that can rebuild these innings that have completely fell apart. And this was of that. It was a better version, but Brad Haddin did it against England for years. And Gilchrist was a completely different ilk and type of player, but would come in and completely change the game. You've got him 4-5 down, and then you go, oh no, now they've just put on 100 in 30 overs. And for all Stokes' bravado and not hot-headedness, but high-tempo cricket, Foakes was the polar opposite, and they really rubbed off nicely against each other, I felt. I thought he played a really calm, considerate, match situation, sort of knock, expanded when he got into his 80s and 90s because he was running out of partners. But he's putting together some really nice numbers. His overall average is 30-odd, but there's 2 centuries, 250s in there. That 32 against New Zealand in the first test, 12 not out against New Zealand in the second test as well, and then this 113 to go along with it. I think, again, you put yourself in a position like before we started the summer, we said, well, we need 2 openers and Bairstow's rubbish and Foakes is maybe Bairstow not. I'm talking start of the year before Bairstow got red hot hitting 6 centuries. Foakes, is it the right team? All of a sudden, you've got Pope scored 100 and he's not going to be dropped, even though there's could be question marks. Bairstow's having a goat of a season. Root's Root, Stokes is Stokes, and now Foakes is undroppable for the winter. He's your best wicket keeper. You go in a place where you need your best wicket keeper, and he's scoring runs as well. I like the fact that he did it in this game as well. That gives me more heart about the winter that's coming. I think if South Africa were bowling last in the 4th innings on the 5th day, we might look at this differently and go, the Harmer and Maharaj selection was the right thing to do because it was turning and it would have been hard to bat on. But he scored 100 against them. With Rabada and Giddy and Nortiger, I still pronounce his name different every single time. He's done that against 2 really good spinners, and he's done it against 3 really good seam bowlers in a team that is 5 for 147, and he's dug them out of a hole with Stokes. That's real high quality Test batting, and I don't think anything that he's done in Test cricket has been as good as that, and he might struggle to go above and beyond this innings. Actually, it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And contributions through to the end, wasn't it? Through the tail, Broad, Robinson, Leach, nice little contribution. Broady, 21 off 14. The man just does strike rate, doesn't he? That bowling attack as well, we just got to say, look, Rabada is one of the best that's done it. And he's going to continue to prove what an all-time talent he is. He's nearly gone at 5 and over for his 2 wickets of 23 overs. Nokia's gone over 4. And Giddy's 3.38, so 3.5. Everyone's got a bit, haven't they? Maharaj and Harmer over 3s again. It was, this is a quality bowling attack. Even if it's just the 3-seamers instead of Jansen as well, quality. And England have absolutely took them to the sword, haven't they? And or put them to the sword, and took them to pieces. Fantastic batting all round. And then it comes onto that second innings, doesn't it? And England get into their work again quite early. Elgar, 12 and a half overs, or 12, nearly 13 overs, is the first wicket. So there is a bit of grit. There is a bit of Sarah Lerwi and gritty Dean Elgar in there, holding England back. But as soon as that wicket went, the dam started to burst, didn't it? It wasn't a quick collapse, but once we got into a couple of them, you then had the Peterson and Van der Dewson partnership, which was steady, trying to save the game. Once we got through those, Markram went twice. Good old Broady no ball, didn't he? You're then in, and then it's very, very quick. It's a procession through that long tail. And England wrapped the game up well in advance of drinks, basically. Drinks
before the end of the third day. It was when the new ball came in. That was kind of game over. Wickets fell heavily during that stage.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. One bowler who I think deserves a nod. Like, you can look at it, and we've spoken about the bowlers. Ben Stokes bowled 14 overs straight through here and bowled exceptional, tough, gritty leadership. Half the time, it looks like he's operating on one knee as well. Like his body is falling apart the majority of the time, but he straps it on his back, and incredible toughness to get through stuff. But Jack Leach bowled 23 overs for 26 here. And you remember, it's not that long ago since we're removed from Parkinson or Leach.
Nope.
I think Jack Leach this summer has been exceptional. He got that 10 for against New Zealand, and his control has been probably the best of his career since that Australian debacle where they got after him, which he's not alone. It's happened to others.
Yeah.
But his control has been and shown why at the moment he's the right person for this England cricket team, because he can control the game and they know what they're going to get.
Yeah, I think Leach had that moment, didn't he? And he suddenly feels more part of it. He feels more committed into this team, into this squad. Same, hopefully this is what's going to happen with Foakes now as well. Foakes has done well. He obviously feels part of it, but you've got to get a score. You've got to perform. Leach has done it, hasn't he, now this summer? Foakes has now done it. You feel like that's just another moment, like you've just gone up another level of like, actually, no, I'm establishing myself. I belong here. This is my spot in this team. And the more players we can have go through those moments and take that next step up, the better it becomes for everybody. And we're just waiting for that top three to have their moments, aren't we? Robinson has done so well since he's come in. He did well again for 43. Wrapped up the tail. Isn't it nice to see, instead of everyone just running in, bowling bouncers at tail enders, it's nice to see Robinson just go in there and attack at them. We've got a snick off, haven't we, for Irwi early on, and then Maharaj, Nokia, and Ngidi all down to Robinson. It's just nice to see. It's the value of wickets. We look at it and who's got the top six out. That's what we like to see. But with this England team, sometimes we tend to just not quite bowl in the areas we should be bowling when we get down to 7, 8, 9, 10 and Jack. So that was nice to see from Robinson. Really positive test match. Hopefully he continues in the gym, Rob. He continues understanding what fitness is all about, and we keep seeing plenty of this of him. Markram, square peg, round hole, it seems, doesn't it, for South Africa, for him sitting in that role. He was even confused a little bit about having the opportunity to play in the middle order. They are missing Temba Bavuma, as we said. Kayazond is an option coming into the side as well. Peterson and Van der Dewson did back quite well, but once you do get through, it's got to be in the back of their minds when you've got someone like Harmer coming in at 7. And then Maharaj, it's not going to fill you with confidence, is it? As a top 6,
it shows the value in a Ben Stokes having a genuine top 6 kind of all rounder that you can have in your team. It helps balance it as your 5th bowler, and this is what they're really struggling with. They know what they want to do with the ball, but it's at an unfair disadvantage to their batting lineup and batting card. A lot of the time, you're asking a lot of inexperienced guys, but. Kudos to South Africa. They drew with New Zealand down in New Zealand after getting blown away by Matt Henry.
Yeah.
They beat India after going 1-0 down in Centurion, and India's like, oh, we've conquered South Africa now. South Africa went and won the series, and they beat England by an innings. I think it was in the first test. Was it by innings? There might have been. And then England have gone and repaid the favour here. So it was. Both test matches have been rolled in 3 days. So the third test match, everything lines up to it being a cracker. It all depends on what it's actually going to be like. What's the pitch going to be like? What's the weather going to be like? It's at the Oval, so you'd hope that there's going to be a better degree of batting going on. Who's that going to favour?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly not going to see the 2 spinners, are we? So you would imagine Jansen will be back in for Harmer. You would imagine, I expect Maharaj to keep his spot, but this is now, instead of us overreacting, do South Africa have that moment of overreaction? I think there's got to be a change in that top 5 or top 6. I don't think there's anyone in the squad that you can bring in as an all-rounder. Jansen got 40 odd, didn't he, in the first test, so perhaps you can look at him as filling a little bit of that Stokes role. A lot to ask of him already, but I don't know if they're going to change much, if anything. Maybe just Jansen back in. We'll have to see. There are some very good young bowlers in the squad as well. We'd love, personally, this local area, mutual friends of ours played with Glenton Sturman. He was over as a pro in Balderson near Newark, where we're from. So we'd love to see him, but I can't see it. Not when you look at all the other players in this squad that they've got as seamers. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what changes. England, I don't think we're going to see any changes, Rob. Craig Overton?
I don't think they will. They don't want to make changes. They want to. No. You know what it's like. If your team's settled and you're winning games of cricket, like you don't need to really change stuff.
No.
The change that they made to bring in Robinson worked. And he was great. And the England bowling attack, I think, looks more attacking with him in it than Potts at the moment. And that's not a shy on Potts. I think Potts has been great so far in his early career. And I think England's top six is not going to change. McCullum's all about stability, positivity, and giving people opportunities. They're going to get the whole summer, and that's great. You've given guys a whole summer to see what you've got before you do any changes, rather than me going in there going, oh, you know what, Lees has failed twice. I'm going to bring in the next cab off the rank. And before the end of the summer, I've played 5 openers.
Well, that's it, isn't it? But yeah, it is. And it is fair, isn't it? But we are now, after this third test, the final test of the summer, we do have a nice thick line to draw and say, right, that's the end of the summer of Test cricket. We are looking forward to the winter. This is when you have to start thinking about changes, if there are going to be any changes. You can't just and ah and maybe take people in that are on a bad run of form. If Lees and Crawley fail in this third test, there has to be decisions coming after that. But we fully expect them both to be opening up by the time we hit the Oval next week. I look forward to them getting scores. I mean, if Crawley needs to start stacking scores one on top of the other, doesn't he? 38, batted well, sensibly, right. First innings, no messing about. No, I got done by a good one. No, you have to make a scores act. Same for Alex Lees. He needs to just get out of his shell a little bit, go back to that a little bit more positive, not necessarily attacking, but positive in everything he does, Alex Lees. And hopefully we see the player that we all wanted to come into this England setup. He is a more positive cricketer than we've seen so far. He just needs to get that little rub of the green, doesn't he? Get that score. And hopefully we'll see the player he can be. Pope as well. Just want that consistency. 20 odd off 20 odd. That's what we had Pope when he first came in the England team.
Pope at the Oval. He's at the Oval. He averages like 80.
What odds for a 200? A Zach Crawley-esque Ollie Pope score. I'll take that, Rob. So
I'd go for it. So it's going to be a cracker. We'll be back next week after the third test has finished. So we'll probably be back on after day 2 or day 3, the way things are going in this series. Great to be back. Let us know below what you think. Should England make any changes to their team? Should South Africa try and have someone that can hold a bat at number 7 in their lineup? And who is going to win the third and final test match of the summer? You've been legends. Till next time.